Hey, my name is Nyako. Welcome to Obi Studios. So in today's video, we're going to get ourselves familiar with the builder's dashboard for Breakdance. So if you are thinking about using Breakdance and you want to get a feel or an idea of how the dashboard is and how to do stuff, this video is for you. If you don't have a page, you create a new page and then you click on edit with Breakdance. But when you get into the editor itself, there's how the builder looks like. It is a really blank canvas. As you can see, from here to here, down here is where your canvas or your builder is going to sit. We're going to start from the left-hand side, which is from here, and then we're going to go down and then to the right-hand side. So the first thing that you might want to do is you might want to add stuff. So where do you add the stuff that you really need? Let's say a text, an image. If you want to do that, as you can see, when you click on this add button, it's going to put up the element panel. So there's the element panel. So under the element panel, there are a few things that you want to see. You have this add and you have this close button. So when you click on this, the panel is going to go away. When I click on that, it's going to open. When you come down, you see that we have element and then you have a library. So when you click on the library, what you do see is a library of things that they have added to the website. A library of what? A library of sections, pages, and other stuff like that. So this is element demo beta. So here you have like things that they have already created. I think this is still in beta mode. So sometimes it will work, sometimes it wouldn't work. So if you're looking to add pre-made templates, this might be a tricky one because they don't really have everything intact for this. So that is that. There are some that do work, but some doesn't work. So when you click on here, you can see this website. If let's say you have added things to the website, you build up things, you might be able to see that when you click on this. So you can see I have a new page. I don't have anything here. The sample page, I also don't have anything here. But if I had something, but let's go in and say, let me add a section, change the background color to this color, and then save it. And then I'm going to go back to the add and go to the library. And then this website, consider I have this already here. So this is one way of using the website to redistribute some of your pages. So if there is something that you created in your page and you want to use it on another page, there are a lot of ways to do that, but this is one way that you can do that. On here you can view this in like other modes and other stuff like that. So which is pretty handy. There's just informational, and then you can import the entire page. If you want to import the entire page, you can make this cover the entire page too, and then you can also close it. So this is really a handy thing when it comes to like how they have built their template structure, which is really it's clean and it's neat, and it has features that other builders do not have at the moment, like trying to import your entire page like this, you import it into a new page. For some builders, you have to use like save it as a global or save it as a template. This, you don't have to save anything at all. Every page is stored for you to use it on a different page that you want. If you want to add just a few sections, you can add the sections that you want. Let me add another section here, and then inside let me add an image, and then let me add another image, and then save that, right? And then go back to add and go to the library, and then say this website. I'm just gonna go back so that this refreshes. So you can see that we have this here. I can add this to the page again, and you can see that it has added it as it should. So that is the element, the library for the templates and for pre-made templates and your own website template. So that is that. Down over here, you do see what you call the search element. So if you want to search an element, you can just type in what you want and it will show up. If I want to go see the Facebook, I can type on Facebook. If I want Twitter, I can type on Twitter. So that is pretty neat. That is something that you can also use. And then down here, you do have like other sub let's say SAP modules, like the basic deals with like everything that you do use. You have blogs, and then you have like the site, advanced, you have dynamic, and then you have forms. So those are some of the things that you are going to see on the left hand side when you come to the builder for the first time, and then you want to add items. So that is that for the items. When you do click on this, what happens is that it pulls up the information for the element which has been selected. So let's say if we have this selected and then I click on this, it's going to move away the information that comes with that element. But when I click on that, it's going to pull it up again. When I click on this, click on that, I click on this, you can see that it pulls up the information on and off like that. So that is what this does. All right, let's go to over here. So over here is more like where you can have, like, you can see a full display of all the pages that you are working on. So everything that you're working on is going to show over here. So if let's say you have more than 2 pages, I have only 2 pages. So you can see that those pages are showing up over here. So if let's say your pages were more, you could just use the search function here to see to call up that page if you do know the name. The next then after here is your responsiveness. So this deals with how to choose the responsiveness for you to display on your for you to see how things look like on different screen sizes. So that is what this does. Yeah, and the next thing that we do have is this, which is the redo and undo feature. So let's click on undo. So you can see that the last template that we imported from the library is now gone. Another undo is going to remove that, and then another undo is going to remove that. Another undo is also going to remove the color that we applied, and then undo is going to remove the section itself. So we're back to where we started. We haven't gone that much, so we're back to where we started. After that, you do have the redo if you want to like redo everything again. All right, so that is cool. The next thing that you see is this, looking like some plates that have been stacked against each other. That is a structure panel. So what is a structure panel? The structure panel deals with the structures that you've added to your canvas. So this white empty space is our canvas for design. So when I click on the structure, we can see that on our canvas, we have only this item that has been added, which is the section. So let's go to add, and then go to add, and then open the basic and add an image. So you can see that when we added the image, the structure panel confirmed by giving us the image element that is a sub element of the section. Let's add a div. And then with this div, you're going to move, and there are a few things that you can use the structure panel to do. We're going to move this up. So as soon as we move the up, it moved on top of the image. And then we can also click on the image and then drag it to our right. When we drag it to our right, the image moves into that element. That is if the element is containable. But if the element is not containable, it's not going to work. So what do I mean by that? Let's say I do add a text. You can see the text is now in the div element because the div element is a containable element. But let's say I take this text and I click on it and I drag it to the right. I cannot put that text into that image. So you can see that the image is not a containable element. The only containable elements that are available on Breakdance is your section, your columns, and your divs. You also have a wrapper. I don't think the wrapper is here, but there is an element called wrapper link that you can, that is a div with it's a div with links attached to it. So if let's say you want your div, you want your box to be clickable, let's say we put an image in this box called div. If we want that image, if we want to make the whole image clickable, we can use the wrapper link to do that. So you can just click on this image and drag it to the right. You can see it just entered, drag it back to the left, and it moves away. So these are the 3 items plus your normal columns that you can make nestable or containable. So that is that for the structure panel. Also on the structure panel, you do have things like, and these three things that when you click on it, it gives you like information like copy, paste, copy, design, delete, save as a global block. Then when you hover on it too, you do have like duplicate and delete. So you can duplicate that to make the section twice, and then you can click on delete and then the section will be gone. So that is some of the things that you might want to know when you are dealing with your structure panel. And then you can also you can save this and then click on the collapse for the structure panel to disappear. And you can click back for it to open. So that is that for the structure panel. The next thing on this is this sub menu. So let's click on this. Under this sub menu, we do have our global settings, our selector, our history, our preferences, and what they call Element Studio, which is the surprise that I was talking about. So let's start with global settings. What is global settings? So global settings has to do with the your entire styling of your website. It deals with what people will call. This is creating classes in a visual way. We can add classes, but this is another way of creating classes, which is more visually rather than the normal classes that we do use in traditional HTML, CSS, or even the normal classes that you can create over here. We'll get to that, but we are not there yet. So under your global settings, you do have your colors. You can set color for your brand and stuff like that. You do have your button, you have your primary and the secondary, you have your typography. Over here, you can set up typography for your header text. So let's add in a heading text. We have a normal text over here. So let's say our heading text, we want to use this. You can see that it just changed like that. We can say that the body font, we want to use this. You can see this one also just changed like that. And then when you come down here, you have a base size. Base size is your like the smallest size that you want your font to be. So let's say we give that a 16. So when we give that, as soon as we give that a 16, you can see that this came up. Then after that, you do have your ratio. So ratio really is a tricky but a really good thing if when it comes to breakdance. Because breakdance has this, it gives it has created its own way of making fluid typography. So if you're looking to create a fluid typography, breakdance has that already baked into it visually. So when I start pulling this up, you can see that it is creating a type of ratio between your header and your normal text. If we go in here, if I go in here and then I duplicate this, right? Let's make this H1 and then also make this one H2. And then let's duplicate again and click on that and make this one H3. So as you can see, the ratio turns to create a hierarchy between your fonts, your typography. So your H1 becomes your biggest one, your H2 becomes the next big, your H3, your H4 up to H6, and then you have your body font. So your body font is what also comes in when you're using it for your body type and other stuff like that. So that is what ratio is about. We're gonna do a real like good video about how to use ratio to build and really make your typography fluid. The next one is advanced. Advanced has more things. You can change the color of your body text over here. You can even go and then make it more like give it more information than what you are doing over here. Presets deals with how to add predefined font and predefined typography. So if let's say we call this one preset 1, then give it this name, give it a size of 85, give it a weight of 900, and then make this all caps. So we're going to go in here and I'm going to select this, go to styling, go to typography, go to presets. And then over here, I'm going to choose preset 1. You can see that what we just created over here has seamlessly appeared there without we even having to save anything. So that is how fluid breakdance is. Things that you create, they become useful on the go without having to save anything. So that is that. The next one is your forms. If you want to modify your fonts globally, you can use that. So you don't have to do it on every other page. And the next then is your container. We can give our container a specific size. So let's say we want our sections to have container width of 700. You can see that now that's applied that 700 container width to this section that we have. You can say that the vertical padding, the horizontal padding, other stuff like that. The next thing is code. So with Breakdance, if you are someone who already has your styling sheet, your CSS already defined, you can input that CSS, you can attach it to this, and then you can just call the classes that you have created or the design that you have modify using CSS over here. You can also add a JavaScript file to the website. The last but not the least on the global settings is your transition. So if you do add animation, you can set a global transition for the animation duration. So that is what this is about. Down here you do have your search. So we can search for something like a brand. So brand is under color. So if we give this a color of this green, then we can remove the search from there. And then to your right hand side is what you have called modify. So when you click on modify, every change or every changes that you have done is going to show up visually. So we made changes to the brand, to the heading, to the body, to the base, to the ratio, to the color. So you're able to see those things on the fly without having to try and click on everything to see what you've modified for your global settings. So that is really important that you should keep in mind. Yeah, so that is that. You can just click on this and then everything will go away and come back to normal. I want to go back to the top. Over here you do have browse and you do have history. History deals with all the history that you have created when it comes to your global settings. This is not history for your entire build. It is only history for your global settings. So if you do not, if let's say you consider and make changes on some settings over here, all of these changes have been saved that I can go back to. So you see when I keep clicking on it, the changes start going away. So yeah, that is that for the global settings. I'm just gonna unclick on that and then remove it, and I'm just gonna save this. All right, the next thing that we are going to talk about is the selector. What is a selector? A selector in Breakdance, for Breakdance, deals with classes. So I'm going to click on this and then delete, click on that and also delete, and then also delete this column. And then I'm going to click on this image, right? Then on the left hand side, you can see that we do have this pen, this styling option. Come here and give this one 780 and all of that stuff. That is cool. And then over here, we do have your advanced settings. So under the advanced settings, what we do have is when we do come over here, we have classes. So let's call this one my image class or my class, and then click on create class. So now I have created a class called my class. As soon as I created it, it is showing up in the selector panel. So on the selector panel, what you can also even do is to add your own class. So let's say I'm going to put a period sign and say have class, and I'm going to click on that. So I've created, there are two, as you can see, there were two ways to create a class. And this class is not connected to any element, but this my class is connected to the image element. And the selector panel is what handles all your classes when it comes to Breakdance. So let's click on my class, and over here I'm going to go to spacing, and in the pattern I'm going to give it a 20 and apply it to all around. So you can see there's that way he just affected it. I'm going to go to color and change this one to this. So that is how a class is modified when it comes to Breakdance. You create a class, and then the class is stored in your selector. So when it comes to the selector, you can click on this cog icon and then apply the changes that you want to apply to that selector. When you open a selector, you have a few options. You have an option called hover. Hover is a pseudo class. So when you click on hover, it's going to create a new class for you. So yes, you can see my class and then the two column signs and then hover. So when I go in here and change the background color to this color, and then I hover on the image, you can see that now the hover is working by using the hover pseudo class. So that is that. I can unclick to go back to the normal state of the class. And then to your right hand side, you do have something called, it says one on page. One on page means it means that the class has been applied to only one element on your page. When you click on it, it's going to show you what the class has been applied to. So I'm going to go to this last text over here, go to the advanced section, go to advanced, and then over here I'm going to choose my class. As soon as I chose my class, you can see that that's applied the styles that I added to it. It's applied it to it now, and then now when we hover on this, you can see that we do have our class over here on this. So one class has been applied to two elements over here. To the right hand side, you do have this delete symbol. But before I even go there, let me come to the left hand side and come back to this class that we created. You have this delete symbol over here. What this delete symbol does is not the same thing as what this one is going to do. So when I click on this delete symbol, it only removes it from the element that I applied it to, but the class is still available. So when I go in here and I click on delete, the class is deleted forever. The class is no more available. But remember, I created a pseudo class. That pseudo class is still available. Can we add a pseudo class? No, we cannot add a pseudo class to the element. So we will have to also delete that pseudo class. So that is what this is about. The next thing, yeah. So you just have this delete sign and this this edit sign. Another thing that you can do in a selector is that let me save this, and I'm going to open the developers panel by clicking on F12, and then I'm going to hold this. I'm going to click on this as a heading. So this is a heading. Do have a class called a predefined class called building header, and it has this number. I'm going to copy just the first part of the class. So I just copied that, right? And then I'm going to move away from the developers panel and then come down back over here. So I'm going to click on here. We are still in the selector, and I'm going to type in, I'm going to just paste in the class that we just copied. Make sure that you do have your period sign at the front if it is not there. And I'm going to add this to my selector. Click on edit, go to background, make the background this color. So you can see, so this element that we just copied, so I can add, even though this has a predefined class, right? You can go to the advanced settings and then add a new class called GH class. So now it has two classes. It has this class that is predefined by Breakdance, and then you can also take another class that I've added. So that is what this selector does. The next thing that I want to look at is history. So let's save it. So let's go to history. So in the history panel, this is everything that we have done when we started building the site. So everything that we have done on this specific page, it is showing us over here. So when I click on initial stage, everything is gone. When I click on add heading, it shows us from there. So everything that we've done over here is stored in the history. And then we have revision. So revision is more like a coincide storage. It's more like a little backup that has been stored on the website. It is different from history. History deals with minute things, but revision deals more with a broader scale when it comes to your design. So that is what history is. So if you did something and you don't really want to do undo and redo, you can use that history to do that. The next thing over here is your preferences. So your preferences has a few things that are really important, especially the UI settings. So the UI setting has like auto scroll to the active element. You have scale content to fit the screen. So scale content to fit the screen basically tells the canvas that you want things to look a bit smaller on the screen when your screen is squishing. You don't want your screen to become too huge. You don't want your element to become bigger than your screen. If you uncheck that, elements are going to look the same as what you are going to see on the screen. It's not going to create any zoom or no zoom. It's just going to give you the raw stuff that you are already placing on your canvas. The next thing over here is your dark mode. You can change it and bring it back. The next but not the least, you can disable some error messages if you want to. Then you can also show IDs. So if let's say I open save that and then open the structure panel, and then go back to our preferences, and then when I click on hide ID, it hides the ID, show ID, it shows the ID. Mostly the ID is connected to probably the class and the class which you are choosing. All right, let's uncheck that. Back to the panel position. Over here, we can change panel positions. You can see the panel position. So if you want to move things really to make things look the way that you want, you can do that. You can also change element property positioning. You can change the selector position from the right to the left. You can change the global setting. So this is good if, let's say, your right hand is not as dominant as your left, and if you use your left more than your right, then this is something that you might want to look into. So it gives you a lot of little accessibility things here and there when it comes to the panel itself. Yeah, these are other stuff that are the same, more intuitive. The next thing on your preferences is your custom fonts. Your custom fonts deals with you adding custom fonts to your website. You also have external CSS font. So let's say if you're storing fonts in your CSS somewhere, you can pull that CSS link, and then just when you click over here, you can add what you need to add over here to pull the fonts that you have. The last on the preference list is your breakpoint. So here you can add more breakpoints. Let's call this one BD points, and then click on add, and we can click on this edit button, and then the maximum width we can give this one probably 360, and then the minimum is 320. And then you can, if you leave this at full width, it's going to show you like a full screen. So what mostly I like to do is make custom, and then under the custom, I want to give this one 360, or you can give it a 320, and then just click on save it. All right, when you close this and you come over here, you can see that what we just created is here, and it works as it should. All right, so that is that on that, and I'm going to come back to this later. What I want to do with something on the left hand side. So let's click on an element like an image, right? On the image, you have the image information, you have your styling. So this is the information for the image, this is your styling, and then this is your advanced panel. In your advanced panel, you have this information here where you can add CSS to the element. So if you want to add CSS specifically to a certain element, you can do that using the custom CSS. One thing about this that is really cool is that you can add like different properties on different breakpoint. What do I mean by that? You see this over here? If let's say I type in selector, sorry, make sure it is capital letter, put on this things, and then type in selector, and then put on this one too. I'm gonna open this and then close it. Over here, I'm gonna give it like a pattern. pattern and then say 20 pixels pattern. All right, as you can see, and then I'm going to give background of red. All right, so I did this for this breakpoint, right? I'm going to copy everything here, and I'm going to go to the next breakpoint, which is this. So as soon as I went there, you can see that the information that I added is now gone. So come in here and then type in blue. So you can see that at every breakpoint, you can add a different class information. You can modify your element differently, which is really amazing and cool. Like when it comes, like this is the only building that I have seen it do that. Probably I have overlooked it on different builders, but this is something that is pretty amazing when it comes to dealing with classes and custom code and adding custom code to an element. Yeah, the next thing down here is adding a class. You have a wrapper. Wrapper do intend to be, so every element on this element panel is wrapped in a div. So just like this is also wrapped in a div, and that div is the wrapper. So over here you can deal with like the colors. The color is not changing because I already set a color over here, but that is what this is about. So it has information that you can work with to make it the way that you want. After that, you have your wrapper hover, so that when you hover on your wrapper, you'll be able to see different information. You can add an ID, an attribute, and then you have your hide on breakpoint. So let's say we're going to say that when we are on landscape, we want this item not to show. You see right now it is showing, which sometimes becomes really confusing. But one thing that is really good in Breakdance is that you can hide it when it doesn't have to be shown. So it gives you more visually, you see like more visually the things that you are doing rather than just guessing how this is going to look. So this is really important to when it comes to this feature. And the next thing over here is your conditions. So you can set conditions for your element. We can edit condition. We can say that only show element if the page is okay. We are on new page, so we can say sample page and then just apply. All right. So when you go to the front end, if this is not satisfied, that element is not going to show. So this is where you set your conditions. There's another condition here that you can say that, oh, make sure that it is hidden all the time, but it's not really necessary. The last thing on this list is your animation. So here is where you have your scroll animations, your entrance animation, and then your stickiness and other stuff like that. Let's go to the bottom. The bottom here gives you the opportunity to search the properties of an element. So let's say you do we selected this image, then we want to affect the background. So you can type in the word background. So when you type in the background, it gives you caption and lightbox. So those are things that we are not really looking for. We want the real background for this image. For you to access that is within the div or the wrapper. You see this? Yeah, so you have to click on this advanced panel. Then you're going to see more information. The reason why Breakdance does it this way is because most people might not be looking, not most people, but a lot of people who are building something pretty simple might not be looking for something like this. But if you are someone who really wants to use advanced features, make sure that you toggle this advanced icon right here so that you can see what you need. To the left hand side of this advanced is your modify. So I'm going to remove that and then click on just modify. So this one only shows me the modifications that I have done to the element, just like what we had in the global styling section. So that is that for the search. Now let's go to the last one, which is the Element Studio. So Element Studio is one of the most surprising thing when I saw it with Breakdance. What is an Element Studio? An Element Studio is what you use to create your own plugins. So whatever builder that you're using, you might be using one or two plugins to achieve something. With Element Studio, it comes with Breakdance when you buy the product. You are able to create your own plugins to use on your own project. And you don't have to hand code all of it. This is done visually. So I haven't set up anything here. I would have shown you how the setup is, but you are able to create your own plugin visually by using the Element Studio, which is really mind-boggling. Or it blows my head. It blew my head off when they first introduced this feature. I'm like, oh wow, you people really are going for the jugular. So that is that for the Element Studio. So for me, I think I have gone through most of the things when it comes to the canvas and other stuff like that. So if there's something that I missed, I did really appreciate if you can leave that in a comment. There are a few things that I didn't go into details that I would have loved to go into details, but this is more like the base when it comes to the dashboard that you're using. Like, where am I going to find the stuff that I need? So hopefully this video will give you an insight into Breakdance Canvas dashboard. As usual, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. We are dropping videos every week. If you haven't liked the video too and you thought the video was really good, please give it a thumbs up so that YouTube will also show it to others. I did appreciate if you really did that, because doing these videos take a lot of time, and when you like and then you share, it lets other people also come and see the videos that we're doing on the channel. As always, my name is Nyako. This is OB Studio. Catch up with you on the next one.